Hello everybody, Grammar with Jane on this video is vary your sentences. Our focus will be GCSE, so we're looking at reach beyond level 5, but for this video we're only going to look at technical accuracy for the sentence structure. So in this writing then you'll focus on the impact of a sentence, the words you use to create effects, and the structure of your sentences. Now we're not going to have time for this video to focus on the words themselves in terms of the vocabulary you should use, but we will look at how you might move words about. Sentence structure then, technical accuracy, assessment objective 6. You need to know where the starting point is. That's level 1. Where you're expected to write simple sentences. I'm not expecting you to be at level 1 or to want to be at level 1. Where do I want you to be heading? I want you to be heading to level 9. And what do you have to do once you're moving from level 1 upwards towards level 9? You need to use a full range of appropriate sentence forms for effect. So this means that you have to use your sentences accurately. Starting point for the video is a sentence that was written by a young man when he was asked to write a description about what he did when he arrived home from school. So let's begin with looking at that sentence. I throw my bag on the sofa next to my TV as I walk through the door. Two immediate errors stand out to you. First, TV should be television. You're writing for GCSE. Make sure that you write the full words. And though should be the word through. So I'm going to imagine that that was written correctly as I look at how do we vary that sentence. Your teacher will tell you to use simple sentences for impact, but you do have to decide where are you going to use those. So you're going to look at your writing and think, do I want to write a simple sentence at the beginning or not? You might not want to. The big and important issue for your writing is vary your sentences. Make sure you're using some simple sentences, some compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. Make them more interesting by using your structure and sentence structure knowledge. We know, for example, that as is a connective. Therefore, we know that the action before the connective is equal to the action that is after the connective is happening at the same time. And it may be that you don't want to have action happening in that way if you want to create impact. I throw my bag on the sofa next to my TV. I walk through the door. I throw my bag onto the sofa next to my TV. As I walk through the door, think about how can you make changes there. Impact is the important focus for your writing. How are you getting your reader to keep reading and thinking about ideas as they read your description? I would focus on the connective there as I walk through the door to decide, do I need it? I throw my bag onto the sofa next to my TV. That could be a sentence on its own. If you decide that's the impact you want to aim for, is to get the reader to wonder why you did that action. You might decide that's not what you want to do with this sentence. Well done for writing a compound complex sentence. Make sure you know what a compound complex sentence is. A compound complex sentence has at least 2 independent clauses. A compound complex sentence has 1 or more dependent clause as well. And for this particular piece of writing, independent, it means stand on its own. I throw my bag onto the sofa. I can test to see if this would stand on its own because it would be a simple sentence if I just wrote this information. Yes. I walk through the door. This is another piece of writing as a sentence that could stand on its own. Well done. Dependent clause, next to my TV, it means that I need more information for this information to make sense. And in this particular writing, there's the use of the connective as, and that's the part that I'd like you to look at whilst you're thinking about, could I create impact by changing that connective? I would suggest improving how the sentence works by taking out the connective that you don't need and moving your words about until you're sure that you're creating the right effect. You might write, walking through the door, I throw my bag onto the sofa next to my TV. Home at last, I throw my bag onto the sofa next to my TV. Throwing my bag onto the sofa, and so on. The important thing is that before you reach the point of the exam, you practice within your own writing at how you redraft so you're happy with the type of structures you can write. We know that you have the information, I throw my bag onto the sofa next to my TV as I walk through the door. So you just have to decide, do you need all of that information? And if not, which parts would you omit? Once you've done that, I want you to be clear about how you structure your description. So first of all, the focus, the opening sentence we've just looked at. Then make sure that you know if you're writing the description, how would you develop that? So change the focus, shift, add on information. Decide where your short sentence should go. Then zoom in. This follows the idea of the camera in terms of the video camera, where you would zoom in for detail. So for the next few sentences, add detail and then develop that zoom. Following that, you could zoom out, zoom across, zoom through. This part adds feeling and also emotion. And it might also be a part where you want your reader to ask questions in their head or think about the description you've just given, or be able to make connections between other parts of your text. And finally, instead of saying write a conclusion, I'm saying prepare to stop, because I think this part you can add to your paragraphs as well as to the end of your work. So at the end of each paragraph, think about the impression you're going to leave on the reader, and at the end of the piece of writing, think about the impression you will leave the reader with, because endings also have impact. That's the whole structure I'm suggesting. We use different words, but we mean the same thing, and the important words impact. How have you affected your reader? Begin with thinking about your sentence structure, and do your sentences match your purpose? Again, we use different words sometimes to tell you about structure. It doesn't matter whether we say zoom, shift, change, focus, zoom in, develop, zoom out, zoom across, zoom through, prepare to stop, or conclusion. What's important is that you use the words that's relevant for you to understand what you're doing, and that you take your reader on a journey in your writing right to the end. And that's the structure. If you want to stop the video and think about how does that fit with descriptions that you write, and at the end, prepare to stop. That's something I'd quite like you to think about every time you write a paragraph. I'm moving my paragraph on. I'm preparing to stop the paragraph, but I'm going to begin a new one. Or I'm preparing to stop this piece of writing. How am I going to leave it so that it has an effect on the reader? And that's the end of the video for today. Bye now.